The Grudge series is underway after a fantastic opening day's cricket at Motera. The Indians are in control and it's courtesy Virender Sehwag. On the other hand though, Grame Swann has done the English proud as well, silencing the ecstatic home crowd after a great start from Virender Sehwag, who truly sizzled at Motera, reminding us of what he's truly capable of. But Swann also showed that if the wickets spin a lot, if they assist the spinners a lot, then the English will have their own potent weapon in him, because he's picked up all the 4 wickets to fall today.
There he goes, in the air. Is it a 6? Just comes a shot. He'll get a boundary and he'll get 100.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Gaurav Gala. This is the Grudge series, and what an absolutely fantastic day's play. A superlative century from Virender Sehwag and yet another tenacious unbeaten knock from the young Turk. Cheteshwar Pujara ensured that the hosts have begun the Grudge series as per the script. The duo standing tall as the hosts powered their way to an impressive 323 for 4 to take the early honours. But the 4 wickets by off-spinner Grame Swann did serve a timely reminder to the home side that batting cannot be the only strong point for the Indians. They have to ensure that they can't get complacent on a turning track. Here's a quick look at all the action from the opening day of the Grudge series.
What an important toss.
As the coin came down to favour the hosts, the relief and joy was obvious. And when the Sehwag-Gambhir opening pair got cracking with renewed resilience, the signs seemed ominous.
And the Indians cashing it.
Sehwag in particular was at his fearsome best, starting cautiously before launching into attack mode as the pair raced to the first century stand in 34 innings.
Test match.
While Sehwag silenced his critics in style, Gambhir struggled to hit full flow did threaten to raise concerns in the Indian camp. But at 120 for no loss at lunch, the opening duo had done enough to prove they still belong. Unfortunately for India, a much-needed big knock continued to elude Gambhir as the southpaw paid the price of getting over-ambitious, falling to the guile of Swann soon after lunch. But his partner's failure didn't deter the gritty Nawab, who notched his career's 23rd test done in trademark fashion, signalling his return to form. The young Pujara too flourished in the company of the Delhi ace, fast getting into the groove to power India's cause. Just when the pair looked good for another century stand, a rush of blood saw Sehwag throwing it away after a well-crafted runner ball 117.
Trying to apply pressure and
Sehwag's exit brought the master to the middle, walking into a huge roar from fans who were hoping to see Tendulkar rest his recent slide. A cracking cut through backward point, followed by crashing lofted sweep over mid-wicket, did raise the noise levels.
He's taking on the spinner.
But the Motera crowd was soon stunned into silence as the champion went for one shot too many, gifting his wicket away to Swann's utter delight minutes before the tea break.
And it's 200.
The challenge was up for India's young guns, Kohli and Pujara, to stem the sudden slide of wickets.
That's a short ball.
But sadly, the highly rated Kohli played a disastrous shot, allowing Swann to breach past his defences to leave India at 283 for 4.
The ball outside the off stump.
Back in the test fold after nearly a year, comeback man Yuvraj Singh did start tentatively before his flowing willow soon took charge. And this majestic cover drive of the very last ball of the day from Pujara's willow left him just too short of what will be a brilliant second test done as India took the opening day honours at a healthy 323 for 4. Sports Bureau headlines today.
323 for 4 looks healthy enough on paper, and you've got two very good batsmen out there in the middle for India to resume. Let's take a quick look at the scorecard here, and there you go. Gautam Gambhir, Virender Sehwag, a solid start, a 100-run partnership, but Gambhir then threw it away after lunch. But Sehwag powering on to a century. Cheteshwar Pujara, a fantastic unbeaten knock. He's very close to that second test 100. Tendulkar disappointing. Kohli is well disappointing. Getting off to starts, the two of them. And Yuvraj Singh right now not out. The overnight batsmen Pujara and Yuvraj Singh. We're going to be joined by Vikrant Gupta, the editor of sports editor of Aaj Tak from Ahmedabad. We also have former Indian off-spinner Nikhil Chopra here in our studios. Warm welcome to you, gentlemen. Vikrant, coming to you first. The Indians would be very satisfied with what they've achieved at the end of the first day, despite a couple of the heavyweight batsmen getting starts but throwing them away. The Indians still would be satisfied in the dressing room.
Oh yes, Gaurav, indeed. Again, if you go back, if you say India were 223 for 1, then maybe yes, a trifle disappointed. They lost 3 wickets in the last session. But don't forget the fact that the way Grame Swann bowled and the way he got Virat Kohli out, I think that dismissal in itself would have sent shivers down the English dressing room's spine. Because if the ball is turning that much on day 1, imagine what would it be like on the 3rd day, on the 4th day, and if it comes to the 5th day. The Indians know now that they've got a set pair of batsmen. The ball is new. Again, it will be slightly risky. If they could see off the first 15 minutes on day 2, they will get the pitch rolled, which would make it a little more easier for the batsmen, and the ball will come onto the bat. If they could survive those 15-20 minutes, and if India could get to 450, England would have to really play very well to save this test match.
And Nikhil, you would think getting to 450 would be the bare minimum for the Indians, given the conditions and the state they find themselves in right now. You've got a very set Cheteshwar Pujara, who looked very solid throughout the day today. You've got Yuvraj Singh, who's looking, a couple of shots he's played, he looks as if he's inching back towards that top form that we know he can produce. And you still got Dhoni and Ashwin back in the hut.
Well, true. Everything going according to script. Like you just said, you'd want to win the toss ideally, that you've done on a track. When you've got to go out there and take advantage, get to 450 or close to 500 so that you don't have to bat again in the test match. Then you've got the opposition against the wall. All you need to do is get after them, put some pressure. The spinners have been in top-notch form against the New Zealand side when Ashwin and Pragyan Oja, just ripped through apart the opposition. Yeah. And the ball's turning on day 1. Grame Swann has bowled beautifully, but that also just goes to show Ashwin and Pragyan Oja will also enjoy bowling on that track.
Oh yes, they'll certainly be licking their fingers in anticipation when they get a crack at the English batsmen, possibly tomorrow or on the 3rd day of this encounter. But let's talk about the man of the moment today. There were a couple of them for the Indians. Let's talk about Virender Sehwag right now, because he went into the Grudge series with quite a few question marks hanging over his head, particularly the fact that he's been dogged by some poor form, some fitness woes as well. But Virender Sehwag showed that in home conditions, in conditions that he's familiar with, there is no one who's more destructive. He got a run-a-ball century and really set up the match for the Indians. Let's take a look at the destructive best of the Nawab of Najafgarh.
Still got 190.
The destroyer is back. Virender Sehwag roaring back to form in trademark style. The Nawab of Najafgarh unleashing a barrage of boundaries against the England bowlers on the first day at Ahmedabad, silencing the critics who have been gunning for his head. The last couple of years have been nightmarish for the dashing opener. Viru struggled for form in tests as India lurched from one disaster to another. In fact, in the last 2 years, Sehwag has managed just 909 runs in 16 tests with a top score of 79. His average, a paltry 33.66. But now, Viru has hit back in style.
There he goes. In the air.
Playing a swashbuckling knock that was the perfect mix of caution and aggression. Viru started cautiously against the English pacers. But once he got his eye in, he was back in his elements. Merciless on the pacers, destructive against the spinners, as he single-handedly wrested the initiative for Team India. This is the Sehwag that Team India had been missing in the last few test debacles. The one-man demolition army bludgeoning the opposition into submission.
He plays his own game and is not bothered by anything else. I think I wish him, I would like to congratulate him for this century. And it's actually a treat to watch him bat in front of him.
Sehwag had been under fire. His place in the team was under the scanner.
Excellent shot of the back foot.
Critics were sharpening their knives, waiting for him to fail one more time.
That is a good shot.
But the Nawab of Najafgarh has hit back like a true champion, raising his game when it mattered.
Surprise, use to the feet. And clean as you like, back over the ball.
In this season of redemption, Sehwag has made the perfect start on his path to salvation.
He's going to get more runs here.
They say you mellowed down when you were 30. At 34, Sehwag has finally decided to pay heed. This knock couldn't have come at a better time for him and Team India, forcing England on the back foot on the very first day of such a big series. With Sajid Alam, this is Vikrant Gupta in Ahmedabad for Headlines Today.
And Vikrant still with us live from Ahmedabad as we analyze the first day's play. Vikrant, Virender Sehwag, he showed his true value, of why he's still considered the best opener in the country, because when he's on song, there's not too many bowling attacks out there that can live with him.
And he dominates. He's a match winner, Gaurav. 23rd century, this is his 99th test match, and he's not scored a century for 2 years, which means approximately 20 test matches. So in about 80 test matches, this guy had 22 test centuries. And I don't have the stats right now, but I'm sure of those 22, at least 14-15 would have gone in winning causes. So you realize the utility of the man. You're right. After the first half an hour, the English skipper removed all the slips. Just one slip, one gully for the faster bowlers. He had fielders in the outfield. When Swann came on to bowl in the first spell, he had a deep point for the right-hander. Nikhil Chopra is in the studio, and I'm sure Nikhil, that time when you used to bowl off spin, it was a sin to even have a point for a right-handed batsman. This time he had a deep point. So that's the kind of impact that Sehwag left on the opposition team. Only when he got out, did England come back into the side. Did Grame Swann get fielders close in. So that's the utility of the man. Yes, he had not been scoring runs, but we had to be patient with him. If he had not scored runs in this series, maybe, the selectors would have had to take another look. But right now, you've got to back the selectors, and you've got to compliment the team management for sticking with him and giving him the confidence and the license to kill. I won't say it was a license to kill. I think he played one of the more mature innings that he's played. But then again, you cannot take away the fact that his century has set up the tone, not only for him, but also for the team.
Absolutely, couldn't have put it better, Vikrant. In fact, to further highlight what Vikrant is saying, Nikhil, I've got some fantastic numbers here. The first session of play, India scored 120 runs from 28 overs, a run rate of 4.29. Virender Sehwag was at the crease. Second session, 30 overs, 130 runs. The run rate, 4.33. Sehwag was again at the crease. The third session, 32 overs, the most overs, only 73 runs. The run rate, 2.28. Sehwag was not at the crease. So just goes to show what Virender Sehwag is all about and what he really means to this Indian batting lineup.
And also what he can do to the psyche of the opposition. Like Vikrant said, come that first session, when Virender Sehwag was on the crease, the first half an hour or 45 minutes, even when Grame Swann came on to bowl, the wicket was turning and he still was bowling with a deep point. That's the kind of impact Virender Sehwag has on the opposition's camp. That he'll get runs very quickly. Forget about the bad deliveries getting dislodged to the boundaries. Even the good deliveries will go to the fence. I think that first hour or so, England, Alistair Cook decided, well, we're looking down the barrel. Since India has won the toss, Virender Sehwag is in top-notch form. We're probably looking at about 380, 400 runs plus that we'll have to go after the Indians. So if they're going to get to that sort of score, as long as Sehwag's there, let's just try and delay for the Indians to get to that 400. The longer we can delay it, the longer we're going to be in the game also. So they went into a very defensive tactic, thanks to Virender Sehwag getting back into form.
Very, very fair point that, of course, the English on the back foot when Sehwag was out there belting those boundaries. But let's also take a look at some of the other batsmen in this Indian lineup, because there were a couple of disappointments from the Indian standpoint. Gautam Gambhir, yes, he got 45, but he scratched around for those runs. And ultimately, after lunch, Grame Swann got his wicket. He would be disappointed given the fact that he got a fairly solid start. Sachin Tendulkar again looked good, but once again after getting a decent start, he threw his wicket away. Grame Swann doing the damage once again. First he dismissed Gambhir, getting him clean bowled. He had troubled him before he finally got one through his defences and castled his off stump. And Sachin Tendulkar, well, he was looking good, but Swann ensured that he tried to lock one too many, and he was back in the pavilion as well. Vikrant, as far as the Indian if you look at the Indian batting lineup, 4 batsmen back in the hut, and at least 3 of them would be kicking themselves because they got really good starts. Gambhir included, Tendulkar, Kohli, all got good starts, were looking good, but then threw it away. Nikhil, I'll put that question to you.
Well, he's bowled really well. He kept coming hard at the Indians. Grame Swann, he stuck to his guns. he always kept asking the question, whether you're playing, you've got to be very decisive in your football. You saw that visual, how Gautam Gambhir was going back, was looking to cut the ball. It stayed low on him a bit. I just feel that he was too far away from the ball. Had he been batting on probably a middle stump or leg and middle stump guard, he would be looking to get closer to the off spinner turning the ball. But I'm sure Gautam Gambhir will bounce back. He's looked good in that 40-45. At least he's been able to spend some time out there in the middle. Like Viru's got back into form. Hopefully, Gautam Gambhir in the next test match, I say that because hopefully Team India don't bat in the next inning. But Gautam Gambhir will get back into form. The only disappointing wicket for me was the master, Sachin Tendulkar. You know, the kind of experience that he's got, you know, the shot that he played earlier over deep mid wicket when the fielder was in the 30-yard circle with the turning ball, that shot was on 100%. But once that Grame Swann pushed that man back at deep mid wicket, then going after him didn't you know, really do justice to the kind of experience that man has got. Maybe, you know, with the kind of follow through we were looking, he wanted to go over the head of the bowler, but you should have seen, you know, he spent some time out there in the middle that the ball was turning, and that's why it went to deep mid wicket.
We've got Saurav Ganguly joining us live from Ahmedabad right now. We've got former Indian off spinner Nikhil Chopra in our studios as well. Dada, coming to you, you have kept a hawk's eye on the developments at Motera today. The Indians in command, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Indians are in command. They won the toss, which was so crucial in this pitch because it's very, very dry. It's a newly laid Motera pitch, a different soil, a different surface, and this wicket is going to turn as the test match progresses. We saw Grame Swann coming into the game on first day, and it was pretty disappointing for England not to see Monty Spanesa being picked in this squad. So it's going to be a spinner's test match, winning the toss and putting 300 on day 4, day 1 with still 6 wickets to go. India is definitely in an advantageous position.
You're there talking about the track. It's been spinning from day 1, and you said, I heard you say that it's got a lot of sand content to it also. Now we know it's turning from day 1. Do you think as the test match progresses, even if it turns, it's going to slow down a little bit?
Yeah, it's still very slow, Nikhil, and there hasn't been any vicious turn today other than the delivery which got Virat Kohli out from Grame Swann, which was an outstanding delivery. But as the test match progresses, day 3, day 4, you're going to see a lot more turn and a lot more help from this pitch. And also India will have 2 spinners, so there will be pressure from both ends. What's happening for England at this stage is that this only Grame Swann is putting pressure and the rest have not been able to deliver. So it's going to be a different ball game as the test match progresses. I said yesterday that they hadn't watered the wicket for 3 days, and by the time the day 3 starts, it's going to be 6 days without water in these hot, humid conditions. So you expect this test match test match pitch to spin, and it's going to be hard work for the English batsmen.
Dada, word on Virender Sehwag. You know, he's had a lot of critics on his back lately, but showing what he can do, and you know, the fact that he propelled India, scoring it over a runner ball throughout most of his innings, and the fact that after he got out, the Indian run rate dropped dramatically. They were 4.2, 4.3 throughout his innings, and after he got out, you know, they were struggling at 2.28.
Yeah, that's why Virender Sehwag is so important, Gaurav, to Indian side, because if he gets runs, he opens the game up. And it was not an easy surface to bat on because there was no pace on that pitch. So that's why this innings is even more important. You know, we spoke yesterday that with Sehwag, there's never a doubt of his talent, but it was about his shot selection, and he was wonderful today. He took his time to settle down and changed his game as his innings progressed. And he should also learn from it because, you know, even without taking lot much of risk, he still scored at more than 100 strike rate in test match, which is terrific. But you know, this is not what we expect from Virender Sehwag, because these are pretty good batting conditions, easy batting conditions, and for someone as great as Virender Sehwag, I honestly, having known him well for such a long period, would really want him to stand up for India in testing conditions. I'm not taking the credit away from his 100. Okay. It's been a fabulous 100 under pressure on day 1, but you really want Sehwag to stand up when you go to South Africa, England, Australia, which hasn't been the case in the last 4-5 years.
Dada, what about Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Gautam Gambhir? All got good starts, got to spend some time in the middle, but then threw it away.
Yeah, with Virat Kohli, you don't need to worry because he's been in terrific form. He probably missed out today on a good batting surface. Gautam Gambhir still has to get runs. He worked hard today. He played the ball a lot straighter. There was none of those dabs down to to third man, which has got him in trouble in Test cricket. But you must also accept that there was not enough pace on this pitch. For me, Tendulkar looked good. And over the years, if you follow his career, if you sit down and watch videos of the hundreds he's got overseas or in India, it's about getting forward. And whatever little bit he played today, he was there forward to the fast bowlers. See, with spin, he will always adjust. I thought he should have hit the ball a lot straighter to Grame Swann rather than trying to hit over mid-on, because with the turn, it bounced a bit, it spun a bit, and it went to deep mid-wicket. So it's good signs for Tendulkar. It's early days in the series, and we will see him get runs.
A word on Cheteshwar Pujara. He's on 98. The last ball of the day, you would think most batsmen would, look to play it out, get forward, try to smother the ball, especially you've got a spinner who's picked up 4 wickets. But here he was, spanked it, for a 4 of Anderson of that last ball. Fantastic from the youngster.
Yeah, he's been in terrific batting form, and actually, I watched him very closely today. He's looked an improved player than what he did against New Zealand in the series, which he did very well. Swann is a very good off spinner, and he did put Sehwag in trouble at times, but not to Cheteshwar Pujara. See, he's a different sort of a player. He's a defensive player, and his technique against Grame Swann on turning pitches looked very, very good. He's getting better by the series, and his knock was as good and as valuable as Virender Sehwag's is, and he's young, and he's the future of Indian cricket. So what we saw today from all the batting unit, in Test cricket, there'll be days when everybody will not perform, and those days will be more than not. But we saw good signs with the Indian batting, good form. The pitch is turning, so all good things will happen for India.
Absolutely, Virender Sehwag absolutely thrilled with his performance. He's come out and tweeted that this performance was dedicated to the entire Indian cricketing community, and let me remind Sehwag that is a very, very massive community that he's of course talking about. For the time being, we've run out of time.